And these would be paying audiences. Award ceremonies normally are quite big money spinners, actually. I don't know whether you've worked this out, but some magazines, I think, would be out of business if it wasn't for their annual awards ceremony. You pay for a table in that, and then you go up. But anyway, that's a conversation for a different day. And they love it. And they love it for the same reason that many people loved him on Have I Got News for You. They love him for the same reason that people like me, who frankly should have known better, voted for him to be Mayor of London 144 years ago, and quickly, obviously, repudiated, abrogated, rescinded our support. And it works. They love it. And yesterday it went wrong. But it's the same shtick. And I find that absolutely fascinating. It is a question that I have asked you more times than I care to remember, but it's one that came into particularly stark relief yesterday. Did he run out of road yesterday? It's so you can't ask this question without sounding, I mean, call it smug, condescending, whatever you want to call it, because it is always going to be a variation on a question that looks a lot like, do you realise you were wrong yet? And of course, worse, depending on who's asking the question, which is why I just slipped into the conversation quite casually, that I voted for him myself many moons ago. I hope that insulates me slightly from epic smugness. Do you realise we were right yet about this guy? Do you realise yet that we were right? And that's not a very interesting radio phone-in, and it's a question to which very, very few people will ever answer yes. So let's do it a slightly different way. Let's remind you of Diane Abbott's appearance on this programme and in this studio. We'll do that shortly. And compare it to what happened to the Prime Minister yesterday, and just try to work out why one of them will be haunted by her gaffe for the rest of her life, and one of them will just waltz away into the sunset. And if Jeremy Vine's story is anything to go by, do it again 100 times before he's ready to hang up his headphones. So we'll start with the Prime Minister and two little excerpts from yesterday's catastrophe. Here's the first.
With fantastic broadband, forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me. People will have the confidence to stay nearer the place they grew up.
And here is another.
Yesterday I went, as we all must, to Peppa Pig World. I don't know if you've been to Peppa Pig World. Hands up anyone who's been to Peppa Pig World? Not enough. I was a bit hazy what I would find at Peppa Pig World, but I loved it. And Peppa Pig World is very much my kind of place. It has very safe streets, discipline in schools, heavy emphasis on new mass transit systems, I notice, even if they're a bit stereotypical about Daddy Pig.
I don't know. I'll play you the Diane Abbott clip after the break, but actually listening to that, do we need a comparison? Or do we just ask, what did you make of that yesterday? I'd have a tendency, particularly earlier in the week, to overthink things, as you know. And I hate the way Diane Abbott was treated. Not a fan of her performance as Shadow Home Secretary, but a huge admirer of her whole career, and the abuse and the racist vitriol that she endures probably eclipses anybody else in the country, because of course she's black and a woman, so she gets the misogyny and the racism. But it's a bit obvious, isn't it, really, why people would be queuing up to attack her for a relatively minor gaffe while they're giving Boris Johnson a free pass on a relatively major multiple gaffe? I don't know. I'll probably play you the clip in the next bit of the programme. But the question, do you know what? Let's not overthink it. How do you respond to that? Particularly if you are, like me, somebody who did fall for it at some point in your life. 0345 60 60 973. And you've been asleep for 10 years. You woke up in the United Kingdom. Last thing you remember, give or take, was the Olympics opening ceremony. Happy, happy days. You wake up now, and this bloke is not only a Prime Minister, but he's doing that in public. No one's that surprised. What is he? I mean, that's what he does. He's in charge of. If we go to war, he's in charge. If there is a decision to be made about the deployment of Trident, of nuclear missiles, he's in charge. If we have one of the most damaging self-inflicted policies ever undertaken voluntarily by a nation state, for example Brexit, he's in charge. And then you listen to that, and you have in one ear, you have gobs on sticks like me who've been telling you for years what he's made of, what he's about, what he does. And not just me, but his former employers and his former aide, Dominic Cummings. They're all telling you what he's really like, what a catastrophic period in British history it will be as long as he is in charge. And that on a day like yesterday, how do you keep the ship afloat? How do you laugh that one off? The CBI. I suppose you could slag off the CBI. Would that work? The Daily Mail tried today. They're attacking the leader of the CBI for suggesting that Margaret Thatcher betrayed the industrialised North during the 1980s. You can tell the Daily Mail's under new, or indeed under old management, can't you? But you just tell me what goes through your head when you listen to it. 0345 6060 973 is the number that you need. And don't forget Theresa May's conference speech, which wasn't her fault. She had a cough and then things started falling off the set behind her. Again, he's got this Teflon reputation, but if you subscribe to it, how do you process events like that?